Hi, I'm Dave Wedzik, Director of Instruction for Medicus Golf and the owner of Golf Evolution in downtown Erie, Pennsylvania. We hope you enjoy this video, which will cover a portion of the 5 Simple Keys learning system. Hey, today we want to talk about key number 2, weight forward, and that's where this video is going to focus. And I'm here today with Erik Barzeski, Director of Instruction at Golf Evolution, and we want to really talk specifically about key number 2, weight forward, and sort of how a golfer attains it, does it properly, and very specifically talk about the alignments as viewed, say, from down the line, and whether when the weight is forward enough, whether the hips are appearing closed or square or open at the impact zone or at impact itself. And so, I mean, we see a lot of golfers. I mean, what would you say the average impression of the golfers we teach as far as whether they think their hips should be a little closed, pretty square, or open, or quite a bit open at impact? Particularly if they want to hit a draw, a lot of golfers seem to think that they want their hips to be relatively square to the target line at impact, and that's not true. I would say that answer you gave for that others are kind of the way they're seeing it or perceiving it is very true, but it's absolutely not true. And in fact, golfers at the highest level not only have their weight predominantly forward, like what, 80, 90, 95%, right. It's also the hips are actually very open at impact when viewed from down the line, up to on average at PGA Tour level, like what, 40 degrees or something like that. So quite a bit. So the hips are not square. It's very important that your weight is forward, but the hips are not square or closed or pointing out to the right at the same time. Now here's where the rub comes in, right? We don't want you, as you practice this and try to understand this and want to get your weight forward, we don't want you, instead of getting your weight forward at all, spinning your hips open and trying to get to that 40 degrees open magic point. So I don't want to say there's a special magic spot you're trying to get to, and we really want to talk about how to do this properly. That's the key. So Erik, why don't you go ahead and set up and so we can get a good face-on look in the camera here. And we're going to give you a little drill, but first I want to talk about sort of the first part of this drill. What we're going to have you do to get this right is we're going to have you rehearse backswings, kind of do the best backswing that you can do in slow motion, and you're going to start down and bring the club all the way down until the club shaft gets about parallel to the ground. Okay? At this point, what you're going to notice and you want to be feeling is that you have this sort of almost body moving downhill look. The left leg is retaining some flex. You're almost probably feeling like there's a lot of almost like weight by this point, right, on your left side or on your left leg, okay? And if you do this in a mirror where you can put a mirror back behind you at the same time, with that feeling, Erik's hips should be and are already back parallel to the target line or square, maybe even slightly open already to the target, okay? So his hips are not only forward, he's not only get this pressure into the ground, but they're already at least square and maybe back to starting to open up already. So from there, we're going to kind of finish off this drill and show you how to hit some shots to where he can really have all the weight forward and open up properly and have the proper dynamics going through the hit, okay, which is going to help him retain some of that lag and hit this ball with a lot of zip on it. So now you can go ahead and turn to the down the line view, and I'm going to move over here. And I know we've done this drill before, but we'll just kind of walk the folks through it so they can kind of understand. We'll show them what impact looks like, what you might be seeing on camera if you're staying too close. Good, perfect. So go ahead and kind of you start down right. And now so you could see this position and say, well, here's a player, he's got his weight forward, I can see this from this angle, he's probably feeling lots of pressure here, but you can see the hips are very much, I'd call, square to the target or parallel to the target line at that point. Not nearly enough open in the hip range to, sort of get where an average level of, say, a PGA Tour player would be. And that also tends to leave the shoulders, and the shoulders are tough because of the way that shoulders do kind of round in and things here, but it also tends to leave the shoulders almost in that same kind of position. What we do know is that not only the hips quite a bit open by impact with the weight forward, the torso itself is a fair amount open as well. The shoulders can be a tiny bit misleading, but the torso is actually opening up there as well. So let's go ahead and show them what it should look like here when done correctly. Now if you take it up to the top, just go ahead and do a slow motion backswing. Do that really well. You're going to start to feel your pressure building up in your left leg as you start down. Here the club comes back parallel to the ground. Again, I want you to, when you're doing this at home, I want you to check that your hips are in a good position. They're maybe square to slightly open at this point. And now all Erik has to do, he's going to stay here. He's going to hinge this club just slightly in his wrist to get a little bit of momentum. And he's going to pivot right, pivot left to let his hips clear and open up and be dynamic as he hits this shot. So go ahead and take that back. Perfect. Good. You go ahead and hit one. Just slow motion back down. Hold it there, just a little pump for momentum. Beautiful, beautiful. And you can see, if we slowed that down, those hips, I would guess, you were somewhere 35, 40, 45 degrees, starting to get plenty open through that pivot. So the weight was not only forward, you did that great, you posed it, and then you got the pivot going, you got the dynamics in there and get some speed. Right. So hope this helps. This is key 2, done properly, getting the weight forward in a correct manner.